I think nothing inspires you to become an artist. I think you are an artist. I think it's not something that you become. I think it's something that's there and that you realize as you grow that it's called art. It has a name. For me, when I was 8 years old, about 8 years old, I remember I grew up in Lebanon. I was born in Beirut. I'm Lebanese Egyptian, and the war started. I was 6 years old. The war started before, but when I was 6 years old, we left Lebanon. I lived in Egypt a little bit, and then I went to live in Paris. And when I was living in Paris, I started to what I call today collage, but it was like assemblage. I started to put things together and bring things into, like, all my toys and all the things. Like, I had postcards, and I collected images and posters and postcards and books and little objects and erasers and silly things that kids collect, but for me, they were like characters, and they meant something. Each and one of them had a meaning, and I would give meaning to putting them together and arranging them as a kind of storytelling. I think, looking back and understanding a little bit my process as an adult, I feel that this was a way for me to cope with the trauma of the war and with being displaced, being taken from Lebanon to Egypt and then to France, and feeling that feeling of exile and that feeling of being being displaced, but also having no understanding of what is happening. Because my parents' generation, I don't know about your parents, they're probably more open and they talk more and they share more. But in those days, remember, there's no internet, there is no social media, akid. There was not even like digital cameras, all of that. So there was not such a fast way of sharing information, and a lot of things that are accepted today as normal or normalized today were not the case. It was not the case in those days. So, for example, nobody ever explained to me what was happening in Lebanon. Nobody ever explained why we left Lebanon. Nobody ever explained why we wouldn't go back. Like, we didn't talk. No one explained things. So as a child, I think you absorb all that, and you find a way to deal with it. And so for me, I coped with making stories and creating a world of my own. And I still do it in my work. I haven't changed for different reasons. Maybe not. I don't know. But that's how I function. I collect things, and generally they're images of a certain kind, of a certain subject, of whatever it is I'm working on, and then I do what we call in art language assemblage or collage, depending if it's 3D or two-dimensional work. It's always challenging because you never know how people are going to receive the work. And of course, in every place, people respond in a very different way. So, do I, no. So, I spent the last 10 years not studying, teaching at MIT. I spent the last 10 years teaching at MIT, and being surrounded also by people who do research and workshops and all of that. And I've heard a lot that the audience, you have to cater to the audience. You have to think of who is your audience. So when you write a grant, for example, it tells you who's your audience, like, who are you doing this for? Which was for me a little bit weird, because I believe that if you think of the audience, therefore you're trying to please someone, or you're trying to cater to something. So it becomes, there's a slight commercial aspect to it. I always did my work with the need to do my work, not because I was thinking that I was even going to show my work. And I never thought of myself as an artist. I'm not trained as an artist. I'm not trained as a photographer. I'm not trained as a visual artist. I'm trained in business administration, which I did not like, but I found my, I found yes, I studied business administration, but I found a camera. I found a camera, and suddenly I was taking a lot of photos, and then I had no idea what to do with it. I had no idea of the professions that could be developing from making photographs. And I even took many years before I called myself a photographer, let alone a visual artist. So this happened because of the work I did, not because this is what I wanted to do. I just did art. That's what I did. I had to do it. It was like something I couldn't help it. It was, I found life very intense, and for me to deal with it, it was that's what made me it was my therapy in a way. Like that's how I could deal with the complexity and the intensity of life, was to make these artworks, these visions that I had to, like, it was all either like I was over the top ecstatic, like, oh my god, this is so beautiful, I have to do this, I had like an idea, or I was down the hole in the bottom of the pit, and that I had to come out. And coming out, for me, I'm not good at making dark art. I don't think my art is dark. You'll tell me on Tuesday, but I don't think my art is dark. It's not about darkness. It's about how you come out of darkness. If darkness is addressed, it's about how you find the light and come out of that, bottom pit hole. Do you want me to open the drawer? I have so many projects that yeah, of course. That's what keeps me excited about life and about continuing to work, because there's still so much to do and there's so many things I I have the opposite problem. I'm constantly in a rush, and I'm constantly anxious that I haven't done enough and I haven't finished, and I have the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. I feel like you were asking me earlier, like there's all these drawers of projects which are يعني killing me that I haven't done yet. ما فيش blocks خالص. لا, I don't feel guilty. I just feel, no, I feel a kind of melancholia that, الوقت بيجري وانا جعانه. جعانه من the next artwork. I'm a very emotional human being, and I'm very passionate. I cry as fast as I can laugh. So now I'm calmer because I'm older, but when I was younger, I could go from one to the next in like a split of a second. And I think my art has that kind of energy. It has that kind of very light-hearted, and then very, very deep, and then kind of going between the two. And so it has all these layers. And because I feel all these layers, I cannot do a work that's just about the mind, or just about the heart, or just about, so I feel always that there has to be, all these layers have to be present, and you need to kind of, like, the viewer, hopefully I invite the viewer to navigate these different depths. And of course it comes from, I think art always comes from a personal place. It becomes interesting when it's from a personal place, but it's not about you, and it becomes about that personal place that's so personal that it becomes about everybody's personal place. Hopefully, for me, that's good art. But one of the ways of doing good art. There's many other ways, but that's why I tell my students: have what do you feel? What is it you feel? What are you interested in? Start from you, because this is where things begin. Works I've done that I find hard to let go of. Yes. That tapestry, I'm upset it left. No, the one it's not behind you. It's the one you were mentioning. The one, yes, the one Heba. Yes, yes, yes. Because I'm not used to making things that are unique. يعني it was beautiful. Yes, and I was absolutely. I'm very grateful to Fatin because she invited me to show with Injini Flaton, and it made sense. It was I was really touched, and I loved the work that she exhibited of Inji Flaton, and it was really an honor for me because it was my first time to show something stepping back into Cairo. And I was received with so much love and so much positivity. It was like أنا كنت فين؟ أنا سبت البلد ده ليه؟ في إيه؟ Yes, and it was a unique piece. And unfortunate, I mean, it's nice that it's sold, of course, but I would love to have it to be able to integrate it in a big solo show of the work that it belongs to, which is the anatomy of revolution the event that you came to. So I'll do another one, but يعني it's never the same, you know. But me as a person using photography, I'm not used to doing a one of, except the collages and all of that. But then there's reproductions of these pieces, and they're still photographic. Yani you can still kind of make additions somehow, you know. So it's a different. Which one? Vox Populi. It's kind of yeah, it's a weird one because it's a project that it's the umbrella title for a lot of projects. Yes, it started with 2011 revolution in uprisings, as you know. I gathered an archive. I downloaded the internet like day and night. If I was that's a good question. They're all good questions, by the way. But this one is again the necessity. Okay, so this is very discreetly. Okay. Um, so my practice is pretty much multimedia, and I'm not sure it's multidisciplinary. I think people use that word a little bit too easily, but um, it's definitely, I think it's definitely curious in the sense that if I feel that my work needs to be done in ceramics, I'll do ceramics. If I need to do architecture, I'll do architecture. If I need to do use AI, I'll use AI. If I need to find steam stress, yes, yes, yes. And I love textile. اليومين دول مركزة قوي على textile. I love trying things and change. So I have a curiosity for like various mediums, and I love trying to use a lot of different ways of working. But there's one thing that I would love to do, and I haven't done yet, and I'm not sure when it's going to happen. But I'm not a painter. You know, the thing that you do alone, that you don't need someone to work with you, that you can do in anywhere, anytime, on your own. That is something that comes out كده. I'm not a painter, and yeah, one day, inshallah. Who knows? Who knows? I've asked people to paint for me. That I do. Yes, so I have a lot of paintings in my work, but it's not me who's done them, and it's not my own making. Yes, yeah. Unexpected. So many. You never know what people are gonna think, and it's like, really? Oh wow, okay. Okay, I'll tell you one because it's cute and because it kind of connects with what I was saying at the very beginning of the conversation. It's when I did one of the works that's in the exhibition at Tintera is from very long time ago, and it's kind of the piece that started my career as it is today. And so I was very young, and I was commissioned to do it and to do a work, and I did that, and I showed it in Paris at Fondation Cartier. Wow, my father was who is a businessman. He could understand Fondation Cartier, يعني Cartier, okay, machin. So suddenly it was like, okay, do what you want. خلاص أنا مش فاهمة، أنا مش فاهم، بس يعني أنت شكلك مبسوطة فكملي. Okay. In that moment, in this really big moment, one of my mother's friends, who's a little bit like another mother to me, came to the exhibition like a lot of other people. And here I am, like standing there thinking, all these crazy things that are happening in my head and all the, intense thoughts that I have all the time. And my feeling of alienation and exile and drama and blah, blah, blah. All of this is finally into like something that يعني I processed something. فأنا مبسوطة قوي من نفسي because I feel كده liberated and sudden it's like as if I discovered myself. So this woman who's like a mother to me comes and says, "Oh my God, this is so nice. This is so like you. You used to do this when you were 8 years old." And me, I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" And I felt like all this incredible work of finding myself and putting years of trying to discover who I am and what it is and do and da 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 and make something kind of complicated suddenly is made into this very like how people see you so well and you don't see yourself, and it was like I was like, really? That's what you have to say? But I was a bit offended, to be honest, because I was like, oh no. But it was very funny. It was very cute. It was very funny. And it was very unexpected. It was not what I thought someone would say. And doing art today is a profession. When as an artist today, you have to know how to write, you have to know how to sell yourself, you have to know how to do business, you have to be a good artist, you have to be knowledgeable, you have to do research, you have to have a certain level of education, you have to be in competition with the field of art that is incredibly complex and incredibly what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, that's very eloquent, that is a very complex, it's a philosophy. It's like being, if you want to compare it to something, it's you're not a philosopher because you discuss something in a cafe. You're a philosopher when you've read a certain amount of other philosophers' texts and you manage um, to understand a certain history of thinking, and then you can bring in your own way of seeing things, but with the foundation of that knowledge. Art is the same, and there are a lot of different ways of being working with art, just the way you are working with art. So the programs you're making, that's one way of working with culture. Being an artist is one of them. So please, whoever is listening to this, send your kids to do visual arts, to learn, and if they really want to be artists, don't be afraid, and bring them to blossom in what they're good with, because this is the only way also you can be successful, is when you do what you love, I think. From one cuisine for the rest of my life. Woo-hoo. Ooh, you. That's a difficult one. The rest of my life. You mean like Egyptian or Lebanese or my mom's cuisine, مثلا? Cuisine as in kitchen, ولا cuisine as a type of food? Type of food Lebanese طبعا. No hesitation. Sometimes. I like to bake. I like to make cakes. Yes. I stopped making them because I eat them alone. So I decided, خلاص, ما ينفعش. But yeah, I like to bake, but I also cook sometimes. The superpower to transform the world into a better place. It's something from my childhood. Uh, it's Podan. Podan, the skin of a donkey. It's a fairy tale, and there was Jean Marais and Catherine Deneuve, and it's a French film, and it's completely phantasmagoric. It's kind of, it's a fairy tale. And it's very Jean Cocteau, the style of the visual style and the kind of fantasy world and the 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 the, the aesthetic of the film, and also it's a musical. Yeah, like all the super women. I like Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman, and of course because I'm Lara, everybody used to call me Lara Croft, ha ha ha. But yani, that I was already much older. But yani, as a kid, I liked Wonder Woman. I would have liked to be a lawyer and a doctor, not necessarily in that order. Definitely, lawyer is a top one. Yes, yes. A job I would never do. A job I would never do. Oh, many, a lot of them. Like a lot of jobs I would not do. I don't know that I know how to do anything, by the way. I don't think of myself as I always need help to do things. And yeah, I don't know. My first job as in a paid job or as a job, as working job. My first job. Well, I had a very nice first job. I worked for the UNDP, which is the development program of the UN, of the United Nations. Yes, in Africa, in Madagascar. I traveled around the island of Madagascar for 2 months with a team of Malagasy people and also other people of my age. And we did something called a monography. Monography, in the terms of development programs, is the study of a place before there has been any other studies done. So it's the very first, encounter with a place to just assess what's happening in that place before you even develop and create a program of development for the place. It was great. Yeah. Motorcycles, 4x4, traveling across Madagascar, problem solving all the time, breaking down in the middle of the jungle. No, it was quite an experience. And it's a beautiful country. It's one of the most extraordinary landscapes and diverse landscapes that I've ever experienced. You have to have in your blood endurance. The marathon, it's a, yeah, you have to have endurance. You have to push through. Yeah, big time. Yeah. No, my immediate, but that's because it's kind of connected to the Tintera show. But my immediate, the thing that came to my mind is the casse-tête chinois. It's a cucina game, and it's what I used to play with my grandmother every Sunday with her friends, my mom's friends, and it was always crazy and super fun. ويلا بقى بعد الملوخية تشيك 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 نشتم في كل حاجة وكل الناس وفي بعض ونضحك. It was amazing. It was a ritual every week. Do I have any phobias or fears? Phobia? No, I don't have any phobia. يعني I'm disgusted by cockroaches, but not phobia. Um, I'm not into snakes. Definitely not. Um, and fears, oh my God, I fears for me are emotions or spirits. So they come, they go. Yani, it's not something fixed. So I try to be aware of my fears, so I take it out. If I could have an animal as a pet, a donkey. I love donkeys. I love donkeys. I love donkeys. You can maybe also play a little piece of my Donkey Symphony. You know, I don't know if you, when you did your research, in 2008, I had the Cobra Prize of the Cairo International Biennale of Contemporary Art for my Burj Al Amal. It's an Ashwaiya tower, and inside was a Donkey Symphony. حبيبي بموت فيهم. An object that holds a lot of memories, I think all of them. I don't have objects that, unless, I don't know, like a futa, and it's practical and I need to have it. But I think all my objects are things from a place, from a moment. Yeah. This exhibition that I'm working on, which is why I have rabbit eyes right now as I'm looking at you, because I didn't sleep, is a little bit, I'm excited because it's looking back at a whole period where I started and I established myself as an artist in Egypt, because I started working and then I started to show. So then I became an artist and suddenly I was going everywhere. But for these few years that followed until the Sawara, until 2011, and a couple of anchor points after that. So the exhibition is sort of covering that period. And for me, it's very exciting because I know people will recognize things, but also there's a feeling of going back so we can move forward faster and to be propulsed in, ahead, forward. And at the same time, it's Tintera, so it's photography. It's photography exhibition. It's I'm focusing specifically on my photographic journey because I'm a visual artist, but I work essentially with photography, and I would even say with image making. So it's not so much photography as we think of photography in a classic way. In fact, I am not really a classic photographer. I actually always felt I was a really bad photographer. So I always had to do big installations using all my junk of photography rather than being this very kind of, frame by frame photographer. So this is many things in one exhibition. So hopefully you will all come. You're all coming, right? And you also, who is watching, I hope you come. And yes, and it's a journey. It's a story. It's a journey. It's a chapter in time. Teaching is amazing. I love it. Um, it's something I discovered in 2011 in Tahrir Square. And I knew that I wanted to teach from that moment. And so the world, God is very good and very generous and gave me that opportunity. So after a couple of years after 2011, I went to teach at MIT, and that was really a gift because I was not expecting this at all, and I didn't have any experience. But I kind of taught myself to teach because I had no training, or I had never taught before in a university, and it forced me to it forced me actually to teach myself so I could teach them. So all the things that I didn't learn because I didn't go to an art school, I had to teach myself the history of photography and the history of art, so I can go through discussions and I could open myself to challenging myself with the students' works, their ideas, and also with what it is that I was actually teaching them. So AUC, it's from 2 years only. I mean, yes, this is my second year, so it's not even 2 years. And it's a completely different environment. Okay, it's an environment that I'm much more familiar with because it's my culture. It's an environment that is much more emotional, so it's much more affectionate. You're allowed in Egypt to show the affection with your students, and they show it to you. In America, you cannot. It's not mamnu. Um, it's a much smaller environment. It's a very small program that I teach in. So you have an intimacy with the students that you don't have in other schools. And you also teach the same students over several semesters. So you build a relationship, which in other universities you don't have the opportunity to build because you only see the students one semester, وبعدين خلاص. So it's a very different experience. But this has taught me it's teaching me to teach in a very different way and also to cater to a completely different environment, because here you have students who come from, a lot of them come from compounds. They're locked in golden prisons, and they grew up in very protected environment, so they're not exposed to a lot of things. So for me, it's a fantastic opportunity to rediscover Cairo with them and to see how this generation is the outcome of what I've watched happen over the last 20 years, and to be able to connect with where they are and to give them the ability to make a bridge with that Egypt that I know and that they're getting to know. So it's teaching me to be very patient, to be very understanding as much as I can be. I hope they're listening to me and they think that's the case. To be also very patient in the sense that they have certain restrictions that other people don't have in other contexts, in terms of how they can move around, if their parents allow them to go here or there. So it's quite an interesting and challenging environment. And I think, I don't know what it's teaching me other than just loving more people and try and do my best to give them the passion I have for what it means to be a visual artist, which is not something you do because somebody told you to do it, but really to do it because, again, there is a necessity to do it. So hopefully I can give them the bug. That's the that's the goal. Needed is publications, spaces, funding, also appreciation of why it's important to have a cultural life. What is needed is also bringing people and taking people out into other places. So residencies that are exchanges. So artists from Egypt can go and train and explore with other people from different contexts and other artists and learn from each other. And the same, we need people to come and we need to have conversations. So we need conversations. What happened since 2014, 2015, especially, because I think there's a gap between 2011, 2015, it's its own thing. But since 2015, there's a decentralization. And its decentralization of the art has created a lack of conversation and a focus on what I think is the wrong goals and objectives, which, like we were saying off camera, is a little bit corporate oriented, money oriented, commodity oriented, instead of really being critical and having a critical conversation and level of exchange within the community of art.